Hi friends, so this vlog is about one of my commissioned paintings. I want to create a peaceful and dreamy watercolor landscape for my client. To begin with, I had done some practice painting and color study. For the first 3 practice, I didn't like any of them because I overworked the paintings. After these 3, I did a small painting just for the landscape to see if I like the green. And then I did another study on an A4 size. This one I quite like the mountain and the overall look of the landscape, the composition and the color. So I decided to go with this one. So this commission painting is pretty big. It's 54 by 82 centimeters. It's roughly an A1 size, and that's not included the white borders around it. I begin by wetting the paper with clear water just on the top half of the painting. Then paint the background with the mixture of red and forest green. Sometimes I work with 2 brushes in my hand. One is to paint and the other one with just clear water to soften the bottom of the tree. To be honest, I was quite nervous when I started this painting because working with this large of paper is my first experience. But when I get the hang of it, I was quite relaxed. I know that I don't have to cover a large space all the time. Sometimes I can just wet a little section and work on it. So I painted the background tree using wet on wet technique so it looks soft and blurry, and let it dry, and then I paint the foreground tree with wet on dry technique so that it looks clear and sharp. And then I start to paint the hill with wet on dry technique using yellow ochre. And while the paper is still wet, I drop on raw amber dip at the bottom of the hill where it touched the water, and also sketching the shape of the rocks as I go. When I finish painting the raw amber dip at the bottom, I drop on another layers of raw amber dip in a thicker consistency to darken the bottom a little bit better, and add 1 more layers of yellow ochre to the hill, and then I drop on the green mixture that I mixed earlier, wet on wet technique. And at the same time I paint the grass and the bushes on top of the hill, wet on dry technique. And I keep adding more layers to the hills with yellow ochre and raw amber dip, and at the same time create the grass texture at the bottoms of the hills with raw amber dip and some green mixture until I like the look of it, and then I will start to move to another part of the painting. I let it dry completely before I work on the trees behind the hill. I wet this area with just clear water and paint the background trees so it looks soft and blurry, and then I use just clean damp brush to lift up some pigment to create the fog. I let it dry completely before I work on the foreground trees. I don't want to bore you watching me painting so many trees in the same technique, so I'm going to just show you one tree. I use a ruler to help me painting a straight line, and then I use my liner brush painting the tree trunks and leaf. When painting the tree, I make sure that it looks a bit uneven so that it looks natural. So I wet each mountain at a time, and then I use my slant natural brush to paint in the trees on the mountain. Not a very clear looking tree, but suggesting. Using the grey mixture that I mixed earlier contain red, forest green and yellow ochre. Painting the rock using the same grey mixture that I used for the mountain with wet on dry technique. I make sure I paint the shadow side a bit darker. So I let everything dry completely before I start wetting the leg. And then I use my clean damp brush to remove some of the pigment, or you can say that is the hard line, so that it look a bit soft and blurry. Painting the reflection of the tree using the dark green mixture and the grey mixture, and also yellow ochre for the reflection of the hills. I found pepper damage at the bottom of the painting. This could happen because I soaked the pepper twice before I stretch it, or could be the oil in my hand. I accidentally touched the pepper. So I tried to paint darker pigment on top of the damaged pepper, but it still showed the marks. So I made a decision by painting some water grasses where the marks are. It's covered up nicely, and I think I like it even better. It creates more interest to the painting, frame the main subject, and also make the painting look more sophisticated. Day 3, working on the white swans. The night before I was quite nervous because the white swans are the main subject. They are very elegant, and if I couldn't pull it off, that means I have to start this painting all over again. But I was quite relaxed when I start painting the swan. I wet the area and then I start to drop on the pigment. It wasn't as hard as I thought because of the large pepper. It made me work easier than my practice paintings. Because the white feather tend to get the reflections from its surrounding, so I used the grey mixture, the green mixture that I mixed, and also the yellow ochre from the hill to paint this one. I used those 3 colors for the shadow area, and I made sure I leave some white pepper for the highlight. So over here I wet the paper first, and then I start to drop on the grey pigment that I mixed earlier for the shadow area. I paint it negatively. Painting negatively it means paint around the object. In this case I paint the shadow area to reveal the white feather. wetting this area with clear water, and then I drop on the grey mixture and the green mixture that I mixed earlier for the tree and the mountains. And the same technique applied to the rest of the swan. So I'm going to just show you how I paint one swan, because the other swan is pretty much the same process. Over here I use the grey mixture that I use for the mountain, but in a thicker consistency. And then I use cadmium orange to paint the beak of the swan. And with clean damp brush, I sprayed the pigment so that it's a little bit lighter on the top of the beak. And then I drop on the red pigment, wet on wet technique, and use clean damp brush to help it to spread the pigment. With yellow ochre, adding some flower to the heel to create some interest. And with white designer gouache to add the detail to the swans. And I also add white flowers to the heel using the white gouache, and I love how the white flower pop against the dark green. From here, I'm going to just add some more layers here and there to make the paintings balance. Painting on large size of paper, at first I was nervous, but when I get the hang of it, I really enjoy it because I could add the detail that I love. With small size of paper, I could finish the painting quickly, but I couldn't add the detail that I want. The most difficult part is probably fit my painting into the screen. It's sort of a little bit hard to try to film this larger painting. So I finally cut it off the board and peeling off the masking tape. I hope you enjoyed this painting, and thank you for joining my art journey. See you next time. Happy painting!